All right, guys, this is going to be a behind the scenes from my perspective of Gilenor games. Going to be going through some of the DMs I received, stuff like that. It's not really going to be a watching video, more of just kind of put it on in the background and listen to. There's going to be some things popping up on the screen from, here or there, but for the most part, just something to chuck on in the background and have a listen to. No crazy editing. But before we jump in, remember, spoilers for Gilenor games. If you haven't seen it, make sure you watch it. Alrighty, I think it goes without saying that this is going to contain major spoilers for the Gilenor game. So if you haven't seen the show already, highly recommend watching it. Link will be in the description to Soup's channel. So if you guys are watching this, you've probably already seen Solo Mission or Be the Victim or Bodhi's analysis videos for the Gilenor games. I've been wanting to do my own the whole time, but because I knew basically what had happened up until the point that I was eliminated, I didn't want to spoil anything accidentally, and I'm just really bad for that. So I was too scared to make one of these videos beforehand in case I said something that hadn't happened yet. But now that I'm out, I don't know what's happening in the final that's coming out tomorrow. So I can just say whatever I want because I don't know what the fuck happens. So I'm going to go through every episode that I was in and kind of just give my analysis. We've had Solo Mission give his side, Be the Victim, who was on Frame side, both of them on Frame side of the Alliance. Nothing really from the back end of my side of the Alliance with Torvesta and those guys. So it's a lot of stuff we can go through with them and it's all pretty fun. Now, before we get into the analysis, there's a few things I want to say. Number one, I was obviously the villain of this season. That was the role that I chose to play. I thought it was like the most exciting thing for the audience. I've been getting like death threats and shit because people are so mad that I was like manipulating people. I promise you guys, all right, I promise, I'm not actually a villain in real life. I'm not a dickhead. I just personally, throwing my own tournaments and stuff like that, know what it's like to have people come along to the tournaments and not really put on a good show and kind of be a little bit boring. So I would never ever want to do that for someone else. If someone invites me somewhere, I'm going to be as much of a personality as I possibly can and put on the best possible show. And I thought the best way to do that this season was to be the guy that everyone hated. And considering the fact that I'm getting death threats for my performance, I think I succeeded. And just going on that, I'll do anything to put on a good show. Like I will do anything for Soup to make sure that the show is exciting as possible, even if that means sacrificing myself. If I got to vote for myself, if I got to put myself in a banning, I'm not here for the win. I'm here to put on a good show. And if I get the win, I mean, that's good as well. But at the end of the day, the GP doesn't mean anything to me. The prize doesn't mean anything to me. I just want to put on a good show and have a lot of fun with my friends. Going into this GG, my storyline kind of was Frame's nemesis. Last year, he put me into the banning that got me eliminated. And then in the return of the ban, I ended up eliminating him. We've got like this back and forth going, a little bit of a rapport. And I thought it'd be great to just continue playing on that storyline. And I think we're both just like naturally... there's no way to say this without sounding wanky, but naturally leaders. So he's obviously going to be the leader of his side of the Alliance. I'm pushing votes on my side of the Alliance as well. So I think it was like a great storyline to get into where we're both kind of like the titans of either side going against each other. So that was a storyline I was trying to push going in. Now, before episode 1 even gets started, Torvesta adds me into a group chat. The lads on Torvesta, I'm in with Dida, Tanzu, Vitozo, Hanani, and Torvesta himself, spearheaded by Torvesta. He's like the leader of this whole group. However, I'm pretty confident in my ability to, convince people to do things. So I know that if I have to step up and ask people to vote for a certain person, I think I can get that done within my own alliance. So Torvesta was like the head of the alliance as far as everyone else was concerned, but I felt as though I had enough push to convince him to vote for other people if I needed to. And Didder and I already, before we even went in, had like a secret pact to go with each other to the very end. So I was already ready to backstab my alliance before we even got into it. First challenge was a great one. Somehow I end up winning. I don't know how that happened. I genuinely suck at RuneScape, but I take it down and Solo Mission's going in 100% just due to his antics in the last season. Everyone knows what he did. Everyone wants him out. He's 100% going into this ban and there's nothing I can do about it. winning actually sucks for me because, like, I'm trying to tell everyone that I'm not a threat. I'm bad at the game, which I genuinely am. Like, I think I'm a decent all-rounder, but I'm not the best at anything. I'm not the best PVMer. I'm not the best PvPer. I'm not the best skiller. Puzzles I can do okay. Like, I'm just not. Game knowledge, I'm really lacking. So, like, I think in an all-rounder situation, I'm probably one of the best all-rounders, but I'm not the best at any specific part. So I'm trying to convince people I'm not a threat, and it's just not working, especially if I come first in the first challenge. Now, Didder picks up a whole bunch of votes in the first episode, and like, he's not a huge threat. He's a good PK up, can't PVM for shit, you know what I mean? So considering the fact that Solo Mission was the guy that I assumed everyone would vote for, and I know everyone on my side voted for Solo Mission, that immediately exposes Frame's side of the alliance. We assumed that Framed ate Sat Jimmy and settled we're going to be in an alliance anyway, but this sort of just confirms it. And since Didder is like on my side, it's already in the first episode, without even trying, it's us versus them, just straight off the bat. Now, Solo, this is a bit of a cheeky one, hits me in the DMs and asked me to nice him, and I kind of allude to the fact that I was going to. I wish I could have, because Joel is my friend. He's great content. I would love to keep him in the game, but I've just started this new alliance. If I give like Joel someone easy to go against in this first banning, they already know that something's going on because they're telling me who to put in, who we should go up against him, blah, 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 blah. So I kind of just have to give him Verf. But I am genuinely hoping he wins. I'm genuinely hoping he wins because he's easily the best content in the game. Like the episode where he backstabbed everyone in season 2, the best episode of Gilenor games ever. He's the best content. Not only that, he is one of my good friends and such great content, and I'll do anything for the content. He's obviously better than me at the game. If I can get him eliminated, that's much better for me in the game. But I don't care about the game. I care about the content. So it sucks that he got voted in, but it is kind of what it is. And I have to put Verf up against him because he's already in there. And I don't want to, you know, ruin it for myself at this point. He ends up winning. That's a great result. He gets to stay in the game. We keep the content king and we eliminate a really tough opponent in Verf. He won the last season and it's, you know, he's out in the first round. So that's really good for us. And we keep Solo Mission around. Huge result. Moving on to episode 2, and I will get into where all the alliances stood at this point in the next episode, but this episode starts with V the Victim replacing Tanzu, which is terrible for us. We lose an alliance member, and then we have another player that can potentially join the other side. That's like 2 votes that we're losing there, essentially. We've got a guaranteed vote that we just lost, and now one potentially up against us that we can't get. We could potentially get, but I don't really know V the Victim that well. So this was terrible for us. Now, I'm not going to talk about the challenges much in this analysis video. Number 1, because you can watch them yourself. Links in the description once again. But number 2, the challenges themselves aren't really the fun part of Gilenor games for me. It's the politics, it's the behind the scenes. I think that's where most of the fun comes from Gilenor games. And I don't think the show would be anything near as exciting as it is without the politics behind it. So if you enjoy the challenges, you want to watch the challenges. But for me, the politics is the most exciting part, and it's the part that I want to participate in the most. So it's the part we're going to be going over in this video. Now, we don't win the challenge, so I am up for the popular vote. At this point, we sort of start working with Zoe Pancakes, who tells us she can get the whole based side, Sinferna and Tasty, to vote with us. So we have some extras in the votes, and that works out perfectly. So now that we've lost Tanzu, we've got 4 in our alliance, but we managed to pick up the extra 3, so we've got 7. That's a decent amount of numbers, especially this early in the game. But this is where, even in episode 2, the alliances start colliding with each other. And our side starts going for Framed, their side starts going for Didder. So episode 2, the 2 big alliances are already clashing. It's already formed. Everyone's trying to get the other side out. It's unfortunate for us, but the character that Didder plays, the loud, obnoxious guy, he's going to get targeted by the quieter players because he's always in the limelight. He's always there flaming people, putting on a good show. Don't get me wrong, it's a great show. He's always there being loud, flaming people, great show, but that's always going to put him in the limelight when it comes to the votes. Now, Didder gets voted in, but we have 2 players from our side of the alliance in the winners team. There's only 4 people in the winners team, so if we've got 2, that means at least we can make a tie. And at that point, Will would be easy to convince to go for whoever. So whoever we want to go in, will go in. Unfortunately, I end up in the banning anyway. I think this was always going to happen because Solo Mission was in the winner's call and that dude can literally sell ice to Eskimos. But this tells me that 2 of my alliance members are weak, can be persuaded, and now I can't trust them. So I know I can't trust Anani, and I know I can't trust Tasty. I take on Didder in the banning, which is really unfortunate. The last person I wanted to be up against, that's my little bro right there. That's my family. And I had to take him out. We planned to take each other to the end. And here we are in episode 2 with me eliminating him. It was the worst possible scenario. It sucked. Did a bit as my boy, and that was, honestly, I cried myself to sleep that night. Now, post episode 2, people sort of just stick around in voice calls and stuff like that and talk about the challenges and blah 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 blah, and always gathering information is me in the background there. So post episode 2, a couple of things happened. Number 1, I was speaking to Solo Mission and he just told me straight up, he's like, yep, I'm the reason you're in. I asked them to vote for you and they just crumbled. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I said vote for EVscape. And they were like, okay. He even showed me video proof of the voice call. He showed me the voice call afterwards. And I was like, damn, okay, this guy's telling the truth. You know what I mean? He was like, yeah, vote for EVscape. And they were like, all right, cool. So I now know 100% they crumbled. They're easily persuaded. And this was the point where I suggested to Joel that we start working together. The second thing was, now that Didder Bitter was gone, I needed a new Didder Bitter, someone to go to the end with, someone to have that pact with, someone I could trust. And I asked him who he thought I should have that trust with, and he suggested Zoe Pancakes. So let me tell you, if Didder Bitter tells me I can trust Zoe Pancakes, I can trust Zoe Pancakes. So from that point, I hit up Zoe. I was like, you're the new DB. She was like, done. I'm the new DB. Bang. Just like that, we're locked in for life. I can trust her with anything. So now at this point, I'm in an alliance with the Torvesta team. I have the base team, minus Tasty. We know he can crumble, but we might still be able to rely on him for votes. He doesn't know that I know he backstabbed me just yet. And I'm starting to work with Solo Mission. I even said at the end of the episode in my confessional, I said, no one wants to work with him. He's a snake, but I have a friendly face and he's my friend. Basically, what I'm saying at that point is I'd hit up Joel in the DMs. Hopefully, I put it on the screen right now and I found it. But I said to him, you're the brains, I'll be the face. I will tell all of the lies you need me to tell. I'll make sure my team doesn't vote for you. Whatever you want me to do, I'll do because you're a genius and your content. I want you to get to the end. This would be a great idea. It'll get to the end. We'll reveal that the whole time you were playing everyone. I was just the puppet, you know? This is how I hit him up. I basically sold him being like, I'll be your bitch. Just fucking tell me what to do. Episode 3 comes around and we lose the challenge again, but I'm also safe from the banning. So I'm happy. I don't mind at this point from a selfish standpoint. However, like our alliance, questionable. Luckily though, our alliance has the numbers in the losing team, which means we get the popular vote. Doesn't matter what happens, we're picking who goes in. Because the losing team has the majority vote, it's essentially like we won the challenge and we get to pick who goes in. We pick C Engineer because we're pretty sure he's working with the other side and we want to get him out. We want to remove one of their alliance members. This point is where I slowly start recruiting Foe. I've started talking to him in the DMs. He said he doesn't have an alliance, but he's looking to have one. I say, hey, I've got an alliance. We potentially might want to have you in. We'll see how you do with your votes this week. If you vote with us, you know, kind of just trying to bring him into the alliance, but also keep him out of the alliance. I haven't told my side, Torvesta's side, that I am recruiting Foe just yet. I want to keep him as like my little back pocket secret, just in case I need him to backstab them in the future. So Foe does vote for C Engineer. I know he votes for C Engineer, so I know I can trust him at this point. But yeah, my alliance doesn't know that he's voting with us just yet, so I keep it to myself. C Engineer goes in, and thankfully again the winning team doesn't really have the majority to target someone from our alliance. There's a lot of non-aligned members in the winning team, so they don't have the majority. That being said, Foe does end up in the banning, which we've just started working together. He's like my secret little weapon I've got in the back pocket. I didn't really want him to go in, but at the same time he wasn't completely in our alliance just yet. So it wasn't the worst scenario. Definitely wasn't the best though. So Foe ends up winning the banning, and once again, I know he's working with me. So we've removed one player from their side, and we've basically added another player to our side. So we've got 2 votes in terms of sway after this week, which is a big win. Okay, so at the end of episode 3, obviously C Engineer gets eliminated, and this is how I see the alliances at the time. Keep in mind, this is how I saw the games. Obviously, if you watched the episodes and saw how the voting patterns panned out, you know this isn't exactly how it actually was, but this is where I thought we were at the time. We have our lads on Torvesta over here, Hanani, Vitozo, Foe, and Torvesta. Then you have the base team, which is Zoe, Tasty, and Sinferna. You have the unallied, which is Skill Specs, Will, and Bodhi. Then you have the American side, which is Jimmy, Settled, Framed, and 8sat. And Victim sort of came in permanently the next week, so he wasn't already permanently in the competition just yet. So I didn't really have him under any sort of alliance. And Solo Mission, just by himself over here, of course. But as far as I was concerned, I was working together with this entire side. I had all 8 of these people voting with me, and the other side only had 4 people voting with them, as well as 3 unallied people. So as far as I was concerned, we had the majority numbers, and everything should be pretty easy for us voting going forward. But it's very easy to get a little complacent when you have all these numbers, because as we saw, it actually panned out not so much the same. I should also mention now in my side of the alliance, most of my time is spent convincing them not to vote for Solo Mission so he can make it further. Episode 4 comes around and we get paired up with some players. Now, it had been this point in the confessionals that I had admitted to Soup that I was going to start working with Solo Mission. I was going to be the puppet for all of his games, and that ends up getting us put on a team together. Big Jolo Mission and I together against the world, and we win the challenge, which was expected. We're a pretty good team. We are pretty good all-rounders. Neither of us, once again, the best at anything. Both pretty good all-rounders. I would say apart from Bodhi, Joel and I are probably the best all-rounders in the competition. Bodhi's just too good at the game. No one's ever going to fucking beat him. But in terms of like all-around, including the politics, the back end, I think Joel and I are probably the 2 best players in the game. So having us on a team is pretty dangerous. Now, I think we have the overwhelming majority when it comes to numbers because our alliance is so big, but what I don't account for is the fact that 3 of our members, myself, I don't get a vote because I won, and Sinferna and Hanani don't get a vote either because they lost. And they immediately get 2 votes because they lost, so they're already voting for themselves, and V the Victim gets 2 extras. So that's 7 votes we should have had, but we didn't, and we get stomped in the vote. It's it's an absolute stomping. Now, I'm so glad that this is part of the game, because like if it wasn't, the politicians just win the competition in episode 4. Like it's over at that point. My alliance is the biggest in the competition because that's the way I've made it. I've got my hands in so many different pockets. I got so many people that will vote for me if I ask them. So if there wasn't like a spanner in the works of the losers get the votes, the winner doesn't get to vote, the 2nd and 3rd place people get the extra votes. Like if there wasn't for that, at this point, my team would just completely eliminate the other team until they're all gone, and then we start backstabbing each other. And it's just like the politicians just end up winning. So the extra votes are huge. I love that part of the game. Even though it doesn't work out for me here in this point, I love the content. I'm here for the content, like I said. So it might end up with me losing because of it, but It's huge for the games. So Sinferna and Hanani get voted in, and now Joel and I have to pick a team to go in. Obviously, I can't pick a team from my side to go in, and unbeknownst to me at this point, I had no idea. Joel's working with Framed. To this day, I have no idea why he didn't just tell me. It was like, I literally told him I would do anything he wanted, including voting for myself. I'd do anything for the content. And we end up having like a 15-minute argument because he doesn't want to tell me that he's working with Frameside. And I'm like, if he just said, I'm working with Framed, we need to vote with Will and Victim, I would have just done it. There would be no argument. We end up having a 15-minute argument because I'm trying to convince him why we should go for this side. He's trying to convince me why we shouldn't go for that side. I was just like, bro, just tell me. But yeah, I guess Solo Mission doesn't trust anyone. And, you know, when you're that big of a snake, it makes sense. Because who knows what other people are doing to you. We end up sending Victim and Will, who aren't in any alliance, so they'd be a final elimination, but we knew what challenge it was going to be. We said in the call, I guarantee this challenge is going to be the exact same as it was in the last season, which was take the money you earned from the money-making challenge, make a PK setup, and fight each other with it. That's the one that got me eliminated. I was like, I know that's going to be the challenge. And we made way more money than everyone else in this challenge. If we put ourselves in, we're safe from elimination next week. So like, it might be a good idea. But we didn't really want to risk it just in case it ended up being an RNG challenge. So we didn't send ourselves in, but we would have been allowed to. But at the end of the day, Victim and Will go in, and Hannah and Sinferna are eliminated. And the numbers are starting to look a little more even now. We did have the overwhelming majority before, now not so much. Episode 5 comes along. Things are looking pretty good in the back end. I'm working with Solo as well as the Torvesta Alliance, and Zoe tells me that Tasty will vote for us. I trust her, and she trusts him. Unfortunately, she didn't realize she couldn't trust him, but I trust her. She tells me Tasty's working with her. So now I think I've got Solo Mission, I've got Torvesta Alliance, and I've got the Base Alliance. Now, Torvesta wins the challenge, which is huge for us, but then it comes down to the vote. Once again, we have the majority vote with our alliance, if everyone votes the way that they say they're going to. So people, as Joel once said to me, people speak with their actions, not with their words. So believe what they do, not believe what they say. So I've got a bunch of people telling me that they're going to vote in the way that I asked them to, but I get backstabbed by Tasty here. Zoe told me that he was going to vote with us, and he doesn't. Now, I wouldn't consider Solo's votes here a backstab. He's got his master plan. He knows what he's doing. He doesn't want me eliminated. But if Tasty doesn't backstab me here, his votes don't mean anything. He can split his votes. I don't go in. It's all fine. But Tasty was definitely trying to get me out at this point. So I knew straight away it was Tasty that had backstabbed me. And I messaged him straight away. I was like, I fucking know it's you. And he's like, no, it wasn't me. Like, trying to convince me it wasn't. He knows that it was him. I know that it was him. He knows that I know. And he knows he's made a big mistake at this point. But I even get it confirmed by Zoe. This is how I know I can trust her 1,000,000%. She leaked Tasty's DMs saying that he voted for me to me. So they're on an alliance together. They're good friends. They have their own alliance. But she's leaking his DMs to me. I know I can trust her at this point, if I couldn't already before. Now, I don't think this confirms to me that Tasty's voting with Frame's side. I think it just confirms that he wants me out, which is fair enough. You know, like I said, people see me as a huge threat. So for me at this point, it doesn't confirm that he's on Frame's side because he's with Zoe and she's on my side. So it'd be weird to have them on either side. I don't know. It just didn't make too much sense to me. Tasty said in his confessional, he thinks this was a bit of a misplay, and he's goddamn right. Let me tell you, this is a big misplay, you know? At this point, I'm trying to take over the competition. And when I say it's a misplay for me. All right. I'm trying to convince everyone that I'm this big mafia boss, this big Don that has everyone's, you know, I've got everyone on my side. And then I just end up in the elimination? I wish he didn't do that, man. Now I just look stupid. You know what I mean? But now I'm in the elimination, and It's good because Torvesta was the winner. So I basically get to pick my opponent here. Torvesta gets to pick who goes in. I'm in an alliance with him. He just says, who do you want? Simple as that. So obviously I'm going to go for someone that I think I can beat in an elimination challenge 9 times out of 10. So I was tossing up between Jimmy and 8sat. I ended up picking Jimmy because in the last season, Jimmy was the one that eliminated me as I was potentially coming back into the competition. So I pick him to go up against and I end up winning. And I immediately hop back in the voice call and say this. My immunity for next week, and I immediately jump back in the call with everyone else. All you fucking motherfuckers, all you fucking little motherfuckers, I know exactly who you are that voted me in today. I'm coming for you. Just be ready, all right? Just be fucking ready. Now, I said at the start of the video, I'm not actually a villain. It's all for the show. I'm not a dickhead. I'm playing a character, okay? But I meant every single word of that. Before the vote took place, I had to wake up, mind you, every single week that we filmed this, I would have to wake up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, Australian time, just so everyone else in the competition could film at a normal time. So I always had to get up early just to make sure everyone else didn't. And then this particular morning, I had COVID. I woke up, I was sick as a dog. I was sat in my computer chair, freezing, huddled under a blanket, like just dying. And after the challenge, I said to everyone, I was like, guys, I know this is a competition. All right, I know I'm probably getting voted here, but please, I'm begging you guys, don't vote for me. Let me go to bed and just vote me out next week. All right. If that's the plan, just do it next week. I'm begging you. And everyone still voted for me anyway. I was so mad, like so mad. I was furious. So when I came back in the voice call and I was screaming, I meant every word of that. I was so mad. But at the end of the day, I win. Thank God for that. We get another player gone from that side of the alliance. But something's not right. You know, I spent days trying to figure out who voted for who and where the extra vote came from. And it was solo mission the whole time. Like, I just don't get this guy. I'm literally on my hands and knees telling him, I'm your bitch. I will do whatever you tell me to do, including voting myself into an elimination to make sure that you can keep going. And he still doesn't trust me enough to tell me that he voted for me. I don't know what's going on in this guy's head. Episode 6. Now this is the episode where things go absolutely mental. Torvesta in the group chat, he suggests throwing the challenge. And as soon as he suggests it, I'm like, yes, that's a great idea. Throw the challenge. We win. We get the vote, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, do it. And he's like, all right, I'll do it. Now, in reality, it wasn't the best idea because we didn't realize that the losing team essentially then gets to pick someone to go into the elimination. And it wouldn't come, like it does come down to the votes, but like if he throws, they're going to vote for him. Like we completely forgot about that. So it wasn't the best idea, but it would have worked out in the end if it wasn't for Skill Specs and Tasty. So Torvesta throws, and then when it comes to the votes, here's my thoughts. Solo missions with me. He's going to vote with me. Torvesta is obviously not going to vote for himself. Victim is currently in my DMs trying to work with me against solo mission. So I have a little bit of sway when it comes to Victim's vote. And Tasty is supposedly still working with us even after I caught him last week. You know, this would be a great opportunity. He tried to get me out last week. He's been caught. He knows I know. This would be a perfect opportunity for him to just turn around and be like, okay, he's caught me. I gave him the opportunity. I said, I'll forgive this as long as you do what I tell you to do. You know, as far as I'm concerned, Tasty's still working with us. Zoe says he's still working with us. Now, that's already majority vote. We saved Torvesta if all those people vote the way that I've asked them to. But on top of that, I've also hit Skill Specs in the DMs and said, hey, we've got the majority in the winner's call. Vote for 8sat or you're in the banning. Simple as that. Now, that would work on literally anyone else in the competition. It would work on anyone else, but it's never going to work on Skill Specs, especially when it comes to Torvesta. He's so angry at Torvesta for throwing. And there's just no way of convincing him, no matter what. He would leave the competition if it meant Torvesta was going as well. So it's just like, there was no way to try and convince him. But if it was anyone else, that would have worked, which sucks. Now, in hindsight, speaking of that would have worked on anyone else, I personally should have messaged Tasty. I left it up to Zoe. Zoe was like, yep, I'll tell him to vote for 8sat. I personally should have messaged Tasty with the threat, vote for who we tell you to, or you're going in. And I think that would have worked, and that would have saved Torvesta. That would have put 8sat into the banning, and then in our winner's call, we had the majority, so I would have been able to send in Settled. That would have been 8sat against Settled in an RNG battle. One person from their side getting eliminated no matter what. And RNG challenges are the best challenges to potentially get someone who's better at the game out. So there's no doubt that Settled is better at the game than 8sat. And in an RNG challenge, Settled could lose. That would have been huge for us. But unfortunately, it doesn't work out the way we think it's going to. And Torvesta ends up going in. Now, we're in the winner's call. And I jump in, and literally this was one of the most fun moments of playing the villain, was getting to go into that winner's call and everyone's discussing who they should vote. And I just tell everyone to shut the fuck up because we've got the majority in our alliance and I'm just picking who goes in. All right. I'm not a villain in my life, guys. In real life, I'm not a villain. I'm not a dickhead, I promise you. But let me tell you, it is so fun playing one. It was so fun going into that call, telling everyone to shut the fuck up. And the thing was, no one objected. I said, we have the majority, we're picking, and no one said a single word after that, okay? Fo didn't speak up, Zoe didn't speak up, Bodhi said, okay, Will was like, cool, right? No one even questioned it. So I could have bluffed it. I could have gone in and not had the numbers, and I would have still been able to pick who I wanted to go in. No one questioned it. Now, this is a pretty big thing in the voice calls. Most people aren't in the Gilenor games to play the politics, play the back end. They're there to do the challenges, play the RuneScape. So if you pick the right people, as we saw by Solo Mission in episode 2, it's really easy to posture like you have the power even if you don't. And he convinced 2 people from my alliance to vote against me. So in these calls, like, it's a big thing, especially in the voice calls, maybe a little less in messages, but when you're actually there talking to someone, it's easy to feign confidence and just convince people to do what you want them to do in a voice call if you pick the right people. Now, because Torvesta is in my alliance, we're picking who goes in. He gets to choose who he wants to go up against, and he goes and picks skill specs. Now, when we go into the out of the call and we have to say who's going in, I say I'm telling everyone because I want to start putting more things out there, be more of a villain. So I send in skill specs and leave a little, if you did what you were told, you wouldn't be in there. Just for everyone else in the competition to hopefully scare them into thinking like, we have way more power than we actually do. Because it was like, I told you to do this and you didn't, and now look at you. And it was just like, obviously we don't have that much power, but it's really great for the show. I think it's hilarious. And yeah, if that can scare a couple of people into voting the way I want them to, perfect. Now, obviously, skill specs gets eliminated, and just to show you guys, like, I'm not the actual villain. This is how fucking bad I felt after, like, being the villain and sending skill specs in. Like, I sent him this message straight away afterwards. Like, as soon as he was eliminated, I felt so bad. I'm so sorry, man. And he aired me. I thought he fucking hated me after this, and I barely slept that night. I felt so bad. Oh, every time I was a dickhead to someone in the games, I'd have to message them afterwards. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, I messaged Jimmy after last week. I messaged Framed as well. I was like, hey man, like, I hope you know, like, I'm just doing this for the show. I don't actually hate you. You know what I mean? Like, I felt so bad being this character that I was portraying, but I had to. It's the one that I chose. Now, this is the first week where the inner circle started and Bodhi wins the challenge. Our goal now, we're in the inner circle, moves from trying to vote out the other alliance to making sure the inner circle members don't go into the banning. basically trying to pit the two alliances against each other while keeping ourselves out of the limelight. Now, we managed to avoid the popular vote, which is exactly what we wanted to do with the inner circle, but it's a double elimination. So we get one player from each alliance in the banning. And unfortunately for us, Zoe gets sent in by Bodhi. There's really nothing we can do there. But thankfully, she gets the Dubsky. That's Big ZP. That's the girl right there. And one player from each side of the alliance goes, and the inner circle stands strong. Exactly what we wanted from episode 7. Episode 8, things go a little crazy here. There's some things going wrong in the back end in terms of the challenges and the rules and stuff like that. I'm not going to talk about them. I think like talking about those is just kind of pitting the audience against players when, or even Soup, or even against Soup when it shouldn't. He does an amazing job, and accidents are going to happen, and these things happen. Now, after the challenge, Torvesta gets the popular vote here. Unfortunately, I come last, and I don't get a vote, but if I did, I wouldn't have voted for Torvesta, even though I knew he was going in, just to keep Torvesta's favor, because my vote would have been a throwaway. In case he makes it back in, I would have voted for someone else just so he knows that I'm not voting for him. But in reality, I didn't care who won or lost this challenge. You know, I'm in the inner circle now. The inner circle's strong. Whoever wins and whoever loses, it doesn't mean anything to me. Solo mission in the winner's call works his magic and gets victims sent in. And now, no matter what, it's a great result for us. Either victim's gone or Torvesta's gone. Both really, really strong competitors, and Victim ends up taking it out, and Torvesta, a very strong competitor, is eliminated, and we move forward. Episode 9, the fabled episode. This is where we make a huge misplay. As you can see by these votes, we could have manipulated here and probably saved ourselves from getting voted in at the cost of Zoe. Now, obviously, that's not ideal, but Joel and I being on a team together, Zoe being on her own, we could have done it. We didn't manipulate people, but considering we thought we were going to be sent in anyway, I asked Foe to vote for me because he was still on my alliance, and we asked Will to vote for us as well because that just stops everyone from seeing that we're all working together. But looking back, I think it was a pretty huge mistake. We could have saved ourselves from the banning here. But unfortunately, we get sent in, and Framed and Settled send in Bodhi and Foe. And I'm really sad that Soup left this part out, but he's a little funny voice clip from my call with Joel. Now that we're in this position, I think now's the time to just tell you that in round 1, I lied to you. I said that I was putting you up against someone easy, and I put you up against someone hard.
Oh, really? Crazy. No, I never knew that. That was mad.
Just had to get it off my chest, you know.
It was just eating you up.
Yeah. Oh shit, 1 minute. In the end, we lose the elimination. It sucks, but it is what it is. And I said, I'm not sad that I'm out. I'm just sad that I'm the reason that Solo Mission is out. You know, I said it from the start, and I'll say it again. That man's a genius. He's easily the most entertaining in Gilenor games. He's easily the smartest, easily the best all-rounder, and no one deserved to win more than he did. Tried my best to get him as far as I could, and I even said to Soup in my leaving confessional, I was like, if we made it to the final, not that he wouldn't have beaten me anyway, but if we made it to the final and I was going to beat him, I would have just let him have it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm here for the content, not for the win, you know? And I did what I came here to do, and I think I did it pretty well, and I'm looking forward to next season. I had an awesome time during Gilenor games, and I'm really excited to hopefully do it again next season if I get invited back. As always, guys, links are in the description to all the Gilenor's games episodes, and the next one will be out shortly after this video was uploaded, so I'm absolutely looking forward to seeing that final episode, because not even I don't even know who won. I left the group chat as soon as I was eliminated, so I don't even know the results, don't know what the prize pool is, and I'm so keen to see that last episode tomorrow. Make sure you check it out. Links in the description.